we are in Hume Park here in New Westminster. Where is New Westminster? Well, New Westminster is one of the boroughs or cities that are part of the greater Vancouver area. It's an area that I had lived in, and it's a nice family suburban place to be. So anyway, not going to be a real estate agent and tell you all about the perks of this city, New Westminster, but yeah, we're in Hume Park on a tennis court, and today I wanted to talk about investing. So some of you know or may not know, besides building Future Primitive and working in startups, I've begun over the last few years writing a few angel checks here and there. And yeah, I don't really have a strong thesis. I'm not, and just a precursor, this is not investment advice, this is not financial advice. I, am probably one of the worst persons to follow. If I did incredibly well, I would be an investor or have a fund or a firm. But I did want to share my perspective on this for folks that are getting into it or are fairly new to it. And there obviously are so many laws and regulations depending on where you live. I'm in Canada, and I'm not going to cover like what is an accredited investor and like what are the requirements and like do you need to be certified, all these things. So those types of information I would assume on the internet or on Google or maybe ChatGPT can help you with. But I just wanted to share a kind of a raw perspective on what I've done so far, how I think about certain investments, why did I want to become an angel investor, what are kind of the requirements and responsibilities. So yeah, to start, I really didn't begin angel investing until I had enough, I guess, disposable income. So for folks that are working a day-to-day job and are making a decent salary, I think that there are many choices you can make in investing in your own future. You can put it into retirement funds, at least here in the US or in Canada, it would be the RSPs. You can put it into TFSAs. You can do GICs if you're less risk adverse. The typical bank would be able to tell you that type of information. One step further would be the public markets for folks that want to pick and choose the stocks of companies that are public. And there's certain risks with that as well, right? Where you have to know the markets, you have to know the companies, you have to be spending quite a lot of time reading their filings and the progress of the company. So that leads me to when I began my first angel investment. It was pretty much maybe after a little bit before leaving Dapper Labs, around probably, I would say, late 2020 or maybe mid to late 2021. That's when I started to make some angel investment checks. They can range from anywhere from 5,000 to like 50,000 or even more, right? Some angels are a part of a syndicate, like on Angel List. Some of them are in the Web3 version, like DAOs or syndicate DAOs, or like decentralized DAOs where they pool cryptocurrencies together in order to make crypto investments. But I typically do it alone, and most of mine are with wiring or like straight transfers of USD typically. So that's kind of like the different structures, I guess. And the reason why I began angel investing, it mostly is a way to kind of expose myself to projects that I really believe in. Some folks are really good at this and they're kind of have a pipeline and they have like relationships with the founders and they're always seeking new investments. Mine typically come from friends that I know that are building a company. So in the most simplest way to think about, at least for me, the way for me to think about it is you know, is this a friend that I've known for a very long time? Are they building something really interesting? Do I understand what they're building? And do I think that the market here is big enough and given time to build and momentum, are they able to acquire the market or at least acquire a certain percentage of it? So I think about those things when I evaluate some of the angel investments that I've done. And yeah, I haven't done any in a few years because I just haven't really seen I haven't seen that many projects from at least people in my network who are building interesting ones. And the ones I'm really fascinated by are ones that are at the intersections of culture, or it's like gaming and culture, or fashion and culture, or like music and culture. As you know, with Future Primitive, we are at the intersection of building technical primitives for like culture, and so yeah, that's kind of like the baseline of like when I think about what would technically be part of the Future Primitive umbrella, and not in ownership, but like in synergies and energy. Um, and what is the impact that these startups that I've invested in the overall world. So for the ones that I've angel invested in, I've spent quite a lot of time. Some of them I've even flew to the country, which is in Europe, and spent time doing a lot of product strategy. I did more of that in the past than the present time. Sorry, it's a bit windy. I hope the microphone is picking up. But yeah, I flew there. We spent a lot of time in developing strategy, and if there's like viable partnerships, I would lead them to the companies themselves. Some projects it's very hands off where I've written the angel check, and look, I think the responsibility of the angels really depends on the founder. Typically, angels are a much smaller check than a lead investor, right? And so the lead investor would have certain financial duties that they need to perform and to check on the progress. But for angels, you're really like finger in the wind, and you're making an educated guess. You're either backing someone you know, typically, or someone you've worked with. Of course, there are syndicates that back founders from like an angel perspective, and they don't never met them, and they just thought they were great. So yeah, I've done a few of these. I would say that the hit like a lot of them have done okay. Some have done a little bit worse, and I think as of right now, one of them is doing really good, and I'm really excited to kind of. I had recently had another opportunity come my way from a very close friend of mine who I would deem like a figure that I look up to greatly, and it's a two-person team. If I've known them too, and so yeah, I want to do this video like as a way to, explore and explain why I do it, and yeah, I think I've seen these two individuals in this most recent one work on challenging problems over the last several years. I've seen them bootstrap from nothing, and kind of like early Airbnb where they sold cereal to just make do for increasing runway. I think that there's something respectable to founders who are very resourceful, and they make things happen with very, very little. And I think it's a lesson even for myself and for Future Primitive, where for a very, very long time we conserved a lot of capital, and we still do today. We worked from my apartment in the living room, and we had like 6 desks there, and team members would come in, and for a long time I was even cooking lunches for the team, and it was a great like bonding experience. So I think these little rituals that are actually these rituals that are defined early on as a startup, they actually come back later when you reach a certain scale or growth, when you raise more capital, that it starts to beg the question of uh, what is the inherent value system or belief system you have in the company. And so that's what I look at when I look at a potential angel investment opportunity. And yeah, I think the check sizes can range, depends on your exposure to risk. I would say it's money that you're willing to part with. It's money that would most likely not accrue any value. But hopefully, in the case it does, then you've gotten very lucky. But I would assume 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 of the checks you write will probably not pan out. So for me, I'm comfortable with the risks. I'm comfortable with knowing that I supported a fellow founder or a friend that's been building a company. And it's my way of giving back to the ecosystem. Look, I think anyone who decides to embark on the journey of building something, putting something into real life, there is a certain level of respect that I have. And I will always have that respect because I know how hard it is to, you know, come up with an idea and then bring it all the way to the end. And even at the current stage that we are with Future Primitive, we are still so young, even though we're 4 years old, that we have worked on many products. Some have done well, some have not. We have Perma right now and Checkpoint that are, in different phases of growth and testing. And I'm very confident that when we release it, that we have done the right appropriate steps to construct a team, but also to build the community that really believes in our vision. And I think even this week, I've talked about it briefly from the last video. I know the audio was, unfortunately, I had the settings wrong and is recording from the camera, not from my microphone here. But I talked a lot about like meeting other people in Vancouver, folks that are part of larger companies that are typically located in SF or New York. And it was really fascinating to talk to them and understand like what the experience is. I also got the opportunity to show them Perma. And over the last week, the team has invited several, I think like 30 or 20 more beta testers into Perma. I also had a chance to physically demo the app to people, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. People are seeing the app and they're like, wow, this looks so different, and it gives a very playful vibe. And even today, like I'm getting so many photos forwarded to me, and it's kind of creating what we've kind of embarked in the early days, which is imagining email email chains where like you got an email and then it's like, hey, forward to 10 people, and then it kind of like starts growing bigger and bigger. Like the inbox in Perma, for those who don't know, we don't have a feed, so don't worry, you don't have to be scrolling here forever, but you have an inbox that's kind of like email, and you receive photos. And when you receive these photos, these photos are in fact internet objects, aka NFTs. And that's weird. I heard this guy this car like totally rammed into the curb. Sorry, that was a distraction. But the photos are actually tokens that are put in your wallet, and that's what it means to be in your inbox. So yeah, I think people are really like having fun with that experience, and this kind of goes full circle back to how I think about products, how do I think about companies, how do I think about the beliefs of them. When I'm making that angel investment, I'm looking at, okay, the founders, do they have a long-term horizon? Are they evaluating a future that, excuse me, a future that has yet to come? Or are they just looking short-term, like in the next 2-3 months, there's a lot of hype around this one thing? And then the company itself, how is it structured? Are they, it's not enough to have just the founder or the co-founder, but how are they thinking about bringing people on board? And these people that they're bringing on board, Are they technical? Because if a team is highly creative, non-technical, then there's going to be some balancing issues here, right? And then you look at the product. Like, is this product, like, if it's consumer, is this product fun, and does it actually have the ability to break through of this heavy headwind that has existed for like multiple decades around social media or social apps? Or is there a very unique take here? So those are kind of the factors that I look at when I'm writing an angel check. And I hope to do more in the future. I would hope to back more founders that have a strong vision of the future. And every time I do it, I'm incredibly excited, and I follow their progress, try to provide them as much support as I can. So yeah, that's kind of my current thoughts around angel investing. And like I said, this is not financial or investment advice. I've been fortunately been able to do a few of these investments, and perhaps in the longer term of horizons, I would do a little bit, do more, or it gets more serious. But my main focus is building and running this company, and every so often, opportunities come by, and it'd be too hard to not accept. Um, yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to talk about today. And tomorrow it's Sunday, so we'll do a little bit more of a reflection on the build process so far, the journey so far. We're still, I would say, several months out till perma goes fully public. We still have a bunch of things that we're working on right now. The version that's on test flight that a few beta testers are on, it's good, it works, it's baseline. It's kind of like the table stakes. Things are working, the loop is simple. But I think what we're really working on internally is like the magic moment, the moment of which it quickly grows beyond like the table stakes and the basics. So I'm excited to share more about that, and you'll see that I'll be having more conversations with the team, with users, with other builders in the next little while. And yeah, and hopefully soon we'll be able to get you on to that beta test. If you really want to be a beta tester, definitely send a comment below or DM me wherever you're watching this, and I'll be happy to have that conversation, and if it's a fit, I'll definitely send you that link. So thank you so much. Hopefully you have a good day.